Hello, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Sunny Side of the Dome. I'm your host, Karen Soutar, and I'm here to talk to you about some Blue Jays baseball. Sunny Side of the Dome is brought to you from Jays from the Couch by Jays from the Couch. We're live on Jays from the Couch's YouTube channel here on Thursdays at 7 p.m., and you can also watch on Facebook or Twitter. And if you like what we do here for you on Thursday evenings, there's lots more content where that came from. There's Jays from the Couch's main podcast, which is Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. And there's another YouTube show on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., the On Feck Circle, hosted by Steve Feck. And if you haven't been checking that out, I highly recommend it. It's very worth watching. So, to lead off tonight, I wanted to express a special thank you, if you don't mind indulging me for a moment here, to my husband, Ron. Ron is a very supportive husband. He's just been wonderful. Anytime I have an interest in something, he's great. He always wants to support me and help me be the best that I can at it. When I said I wanted to write for Jays from the Couch, great. Doing weekly podcasts a lot of the time, fantastic. And now that I have this own show, he watched it, he liked it, and he made a comment that maybe the sound could be a little bit better. So he went online, did some research, and surprised me with a very early anniversary gift, this wonderful new microphone that I'm using for the very first time to talk to you this evening. And he surprised me. He said, "Happy anniversary." Well, our anniversary isn't even until June, but that's my husband. So Ron, I just wanted to say thank you very much for all that you do for me and for us. Now, to the heart of tonight's order, the Toronto Blue Jays. Great time to be a Jays fan. Spring training starts actually a week today. February the 18th is when pitchers and catchers are due to report. And it's great that the warmer weather is coming at some point. I mean, you can at least watch the highlights on TV, the workouts and so forth, and see the nice weather down south. And I think this is a fantastic time to be a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know how many of you might be following the top 100 countdown that MLB Network has been doing. So they've, for however, they've rated the top 100 players in Major League Baseball right now. So they've started at the bottom with number 100, and they're working their way up slowly. The last I checked, they had gotten from 100 all the way through number 60 or 61. I checked today. I was hoping they might do more. I haven't seen anything released yet. But so far, our Toronto Blue Jays have 3 players in the top 100. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., number 83. Marcus Semien, newly signed as a free agent, number 73, and Kevin Biggio, just ahead of Semien at number 71. So that's pretty good. And then when you've got to figure that George Springer, one of the better players in all of baseball, he's going to be on that list. I don't know where he'll rank exactly, and I'm very interested to see. Hyun-Jin Ryu, probably a pretty good bet to be there as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Bo Bichette there. So if it works out that way, that's 6 Toronto Blue Jays. And they released a list of 6 players that just barely made the cut. And somehow Teoscar Hernandez, with an OPS that was 7th in the American League, somehow missed the cut. So I don't agree with that, but at least he was close there. So, I mean, our team has got a lot of talent. And I think this is going to be a really good year. But as we've already talked about, and we talked about it a good bit last week, and I'm going to continue along this line, they really need some pitching. They need some better pitching, some MLB proven pitching to go with these terrific position players that they've assembled either internally through signings, drafts, free agents. So trades, Oscar Hernandez was a trade. So yeah, I mean, I think they've done a really good job. They need to keep the ball rolling. You don't want to waste this opportunity that they have built, and they've got some really good talent. So yeah, you want to get after Hyunjin Ryu. They've got a lot of projects and a lot of prospects, even though a couple of them, like Anthony Kay, for example, he's no longer considered a prospect because he has too much MLB experience to be a prospect. So, but anyway, you get the idea. What we need is somebody other than Ryu who's a proven major league pitcher who you can hand the ball to every fifth day, and you feel pretty good that he's going to give you a really good chance to win. So, just to backtrack a little bit before I get into the heart of the discussion for today. So the Jays did make a couple of moves, a couple of more minor-ish moves, interesting moves. So they claimed Joel Payamps on waivers from the Boston Red Sox. And to make room, they did something I didn't expect at all. They designated Shun Yamaguchi for assignment. So, yeah, that's something I really wasn't expecting at all. Yeah, Yamaguchi, he was a free agent signing in the offseason a year ago. He had never played in MLB. He came over from Japan. And unfortunately, his first season, the shortened season in 2020 with the Jays, overall, his numbers really weren't that good. He got off to a very rough start, and then he kind of had a good few weeks and then sort of slid backwards after that. So it's really unfortunate that he didn't have, I mean, he had his chances. Maybe it would have worked out for him better over a full season of 162 games. He could have adjusted a little bit better and so forth. But we'll see what happens. Maybe someone will claim him and he'll get another chance elsewhere. So, and then today, it was reported, although I don't believe it's official yet, that the Blue Jays have signed David Phelps. Interesting move. David Phelps is someone who played for the Jays previously. They signed him as a free agent in 2019, and in the offseason before 2019, they knew that he was coming back from Tommy John surgery, and that it would be a while. It would be like a couple of months into the season before he could even really pitch. And when he did pitch, he actually did quite well. So it was great, and he did so well that they were able to trade him to the Chicago Cubs for Thomas Hatch, who has looked pretty good in his rookie season in 2020. So yeah, Phelps, he did well with the Jays. He did well with the Cubs. He started the 2020 season actually with the Milwaukee Brewers. He was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies partway through last season, and well, I don't know what the heck happened, but yeah, once he was with the Phillies, he had an ERA of 12.91. Yikes! So, not too surprising, unfortunately, that the Phillies cut ties with Phelps. Hopefully, coming back to the Jays, hopefully they can recapture some of the good David Phelps, and yeah, so fingers crossed there, and there'll have to be another roster move, 40-man roster move, to get Phelps onto the roster. Anyway, so that's a few moves that they've made. So in the meantime, still looking for a solid add to the rotation. Talked last week a bit about internal options, ended it off talking about some free agents that are still unsigned, Taijuan Walker, Jake Odorizzi, James Paxton. So spring training's right around the corner. I imagine those gentlemen, Oh my goodness, Fisher is DFA'd. Are you kidding me? Hi, Steve. It's official. Fisher is in, and apparently Derek Fisher has been DFA'd. Derek Fisher, all the best. Sorry, you just never really put it together in a Blue Jays uniform. So maybe you'll end up somewhere, and maybe you'll put it together and be the player that analytics seems to think you can be. All the best, sincerely. Okay, yeah, so anyway, the starting rotation. So yeah, I imagine those three gentlemen that I just mentioned, so Walker, Paxton, Odorizzi, they're probably going to find homes pretty soon, and maybe one of them, or maybe even two, will end up with the Jays. We'll see. The other possibility, of course, if they don't sign any more free agents, is looking to add by the trade market. And there's some possible interesting names out there that could be available via trade. So I wanted to touch on a few of those possibilities. So, firstly, Kyle Hendricks. He currently plays for the Chicago Cubs. So first off, why would the Cubs want to trade him away? Well, they previously traded away Yu Darvish, another very good pitcher, making a lot of money. Darvish is owed $59 million over the next 3 years. And it just, from everything that's going on, it really seems like the Cubs are in salary dump mode. So they got rid of Darvish. Hendricks is owed, he's not cheap either. He's under contract $58 million over the next 4 years. So it's reasonable to think that if they were willing to trade away Darvish and get rid of his salary, they might be persuaded to trade away Kyle Hendricks as well. There's been talk, and a lot of it is rumors, that they would, if they were to trade Hendricks, they would want to trade Chris Bryant at the same time and get rid of his salary as well. Kind of like the Red Sox did about a year ago when they traded away Mookie Betts and David Price, sort of in reverse, though, in that, the player that maybe teams might really want is Kyle Hendricks, and they could, again, it's just speculation, but the speculation being that, well, if you want Hendricks, you're taking Chris Bryant as well. I know Chris Bryant is a former National League MVP. If you look at his numbers over the last couple of years, though, like both on the offensive and the defensive side, which is a little surprising because he's not that old, but let's just say he really hasn't been the pitcher that he used, or the pitcher. No, I don't think he ever was a pitcher. He hasn't been the player that he used to be over the last year or two, which is really unfortunate. I don't know if he has bounce back potential. Maybe if he went to another team. I don't know. and it's too bad because aside from a starting pitching upgrade, the other thing that the Jays could really use is a good third baseman. But anyway, yes. So Kyle Hendricks, 30 years old, right-handed pitcher, 7-year veteran, and basically taking a look back over his stats, he's been solid year after year after year, whether you like to look at ERA or FIP or both even. Basically, he's always under 4, whatever year you look at, whatever metric you look at. So he would fit in very, very nicely to the Toronto Blue Jays rotation if they could manage to trade for him. That's the key, of course. I mean, they've got Ryu, and Ryu's a lefty. So then you've got Hendricks, who's righty, and then possibly Nate Pearson after that. And they've got some other lefty options already in-house with Robbie Ray and Steven Matz. And so this, again, if they could pull off a trade like that could end up working very, very well. I think I'd be happy to see that, provided that they can do it without subtracting from the core and holding on to the players that I think are going to help them win in the future. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is actually to bring back an old friend in David Price. So how would that work? David Price is with the LA Dodgers. The LA Dodgers just won the World Series, so why would they trade away a star pitcher like David Price? Well, let's analyze it. The Dodgers won the World Series last year. Price opted out before the season started due to COVID concerns, as a number of players did, and all the best to him. Nothing negative about opting out. You have to do what you have to do to protect yourself, your family, whatever you decide. So they managed to win a World Series without any contribution from David Price. They have now signed Trevor Bauer, free agent pitcher who won the National League Cy Young Award last season in 2020. So they won a World Series. They just added the pitcher who has been considered to be the top free agent pitcher on the market. Do they really need David Price? The luxury tax threshold over which, if your team payroll exceeds that you have to start paying penalties, is $210 million. The Dodgers are projected to have a payroll currently of roughly $239 million, including, of course, Trevor Bauer, because that's official now. So they're already way over that 210 as well. It's been reported that they're interested in bringing back free agent third baseman Justin Turner. So if they can, it's not that they're going to start dumping salary and not being competitive or anything like that. But if they think that they can be competitive and possibly repeat as champions, and there's someone who they might consider expendable like David Price, it's reasonable to think that they might entertain trading him. So what would the Blue Jays be getting in David Price? First off, all of us Blue Jays fans really need to remember that David Price of 2015 is no more. That was 6 years ago. He is now 35 years old. He's a veteran of 12 years. Age has taken its toll, and he's no longer the flame-throwing David Price that he was when he was traded to Toronto and helped the Jays win the division in 2015. Now, having said that, he's reinvented himself, and he has been successful. If he were a free agent now, he probably wouldn't get the same big contract that he got after 2015. So free agency really happened at an optimal time for David Price. But again, it's not that he's been terrible. He's been good. He's just no longer an ace. But do the Jays really need an ace? With the position players they've got, and Ryu, knock on wood, as long as Ryu stays healthy, he's their ace. So David Price, he's under team control for 2 more years. He makes $31 million a season, but the Red Sox retained approximately half of that in order to trade him. So whether he stays with the Dodgers or gets traded to somebody else, that team is only on the hook for $16 million a season, so $32 million over the next 2 years, and that's assuming that the Dodgers don't pick up a part of his salary. It's happened before where there have been a player, and when the Jays had Melvin Upton Jr., there were 3 teams paying his salary, the Jays and I believe the Braves and the Padres. So anyway, David Price is a possibility. One of the other things I think you have to keep in mind where he's concerned is, in addition to his age and all the mileage on his arm, is he was off for all of the 2020 season. And would that be a good thing or would that be a bad thing? The old rest versus rust argument. And we won't know until 2020 starts and we see how he does, whoever he's pitching for, and does having that time off actually help him reset and rejuvenate the old arm, or is it going to take him a while to get back into game shape? So I'm not sure that he would be my first choice. And I guess on the positive is the fact that with his salary, and assuming that the Jays were taking on most or all of his salary, it probably wouldn't cost them a lot in players going back to the Dodgers. So that's definitely one of the pluses. The organization knows David Price, not this front office, but he's been with him before. They know his character. He's a good teammate. He's a good person to have around. So he's one possibility. As I said, maybe not my first choice. So what about some other possibilities? Well, if we're going to talk about it, we can reach for the stars. And one possibility is the Colorado Rockies' German Marquez. So again, why would the Rockies possibly trade away Marquez? Well, it was big news, and it wasn't all that long ago. They traded away their star player, Nolan Arenado, and the roughly $74 million that was left on his contract, or do I? Yeah, like he was just owed tons and tons and tons of money, and he was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. So, I mean, it's tough, probably, to be with the Rockies players, their front office, even their fans. When you look at the juggernaut that the Dodgers are in their same division, and all of the moves, the up and coming Padres, all of the moves that they've made even last season during the season, and then off season, they made like 3 big moves on one day, one of them being trading for Yu Darvish, which we talked about a bit earlier. So, I mean, if you're the Colorado Rockies, can you realistically expect to finish any higher than third in that division over the next who knows how many seasons? And then is that going to be good enough to get you a wild card? I don't know. I mean, I'm not in their front office. Obviously, I don't know what they're thinking, but it's reasonable to think that they might consider, again, trading away some of their higher priced players and maybe rebuilding for the future when some of the stars on these other teams have gotten a little older, have moved on. Maybe they'll be ready to contend when these other teams are reaching the end of their competitive window. So, Marquez, what would someone be getting if they traded for him? He's a 5-year veteran, and he's only 25 years old. Wow. Yeah, there could be a lot to like about this young man. Now, if you just look at the overall numbers in his career, ERA of 4.24, FIP of 3.85, not bad, not anything all that special. If you do a deeper dive into the numbers, remember that his home park is Coors Field in Colorado, which is known very much as a hitter's park with the altitude and giving hitters this crazy advantage there. People love to hit there. Not a lot of people like to pitch there. So looking at his numbers on the road, for example, I had a look at his ERA on the road over the last 3 seasons: 2.95, 3.67, and 2.05. This young man has the potential to be a front. I think you can reasonably say that he is a frontline starter. He's under control, team control for 4 more years, and he's not cheap. He's under contract for $49.5 million over those 4 years. But I mean, the Jays do have some payroll flexibility, so I think he could look really good in a Jays uniform. Again, the Rockies would have to be willing to trade him away, obviously. And the Blue Jays, if they were going to pull the trigger, they'd need to find a way to do it so that they're not giving away guys from your core. And because there are certain guys that are already here that are doing well that I really think they need to keep and win with those guys. So what are you doing? Are you looking into the minor leagues at some of your prospects there? And again, I mean, that assumes that the Rockies would entertain trading Marquez away. So we don't know that they would, but those are some possibilities. It's fun to dream, and hopefully they'll get something done soon. And yeah, so that's that. So we're almost at the end of today's episode, and what that means. Through Blue Jay colored glasses. So, again, on the theme of the pitching, Trevor Bauer, he is officially off the free agent market. He signed with the LA Dodgers, and he had a phenomenal season on the field in 2020. He won the Cy Young Award, and everybody considered him to be the best free agent pitcher out there. I know a number of Jays fans were hoping that he would come to the Jays, and there were plenty of them that were also hoping that they weren't, that he wouldn't, and I have to admit, for a number of reasons, I really didn't want him on the Jays. I think his career has been too inconsistent. He's being paid a silly amount of money, and then there's his personality, which I don't even want to go there. But so anyway, to anybody who is lamenting not getting Trevor Bauer, don't worry about it. It's not going to be an issue. That their pitching is going to be better than it looks at this moment in time. I still think they're going to require significant help. And really, I don't think that Bauer is going to repeat the kind of season that he had in 2020. He's already got his money, and the Dodgers can afford to pay him, so I guess everybody's happy. But no, I don't think we need to worry that we didn't get Trevor Bauer. As a matter of fact, I just have this feeling that the Dodgers are going to regret giving him that big contract. So we'll see how it goes. I think there's external additions that the Jays can make and will make. I think they have quality already in-house that maybe they don't even realize, kind of like when they traded for Marco Estrada, and his overall numbers weren't anything that really jumped out at you, and he just almost came out of nowhere in 2015, and he became a phenomenal pitcher, and he really helped, not only in the regular season to win the division, but the playoff success that he had. So, not to worry. And on that note, I think we're out of time for this week. Thank you very much for joining us, and go Blue Jays. Spring training starts next week.